Welcome back to the Forgetful Scholar, and let's talk about books. So this week there was a Pharaoh Werewolf, Queen of the Ghouls, and the Last Wallflower. So that's what this week was. So the first book is the Pharaoh Werewolf, and it's Night Shift, Book 2, Split Shift, T.A. Moore. Here we go. Let's get you a little closer so you can see. Yeah, there we go. So this book starts right off of the first book, which is our two heroes, Kit and Cade, are trapped in a car. So there was a car accident and they're trapped. And the thing is, it's a full moon and Cade is a werewolf and he transforms. And in this world, werewolves are pretty much feral. They have no idea really what their human counterpart cares about and things like that. So they kind of eat people. And Kit is a null or human on the night shift and they're used to handling werewolves. Now, I will say that Kit is a freaking badass and a realistic badass. He gets into situations and he does get hurt, but he has this stubbornness and tenacity to keep going. So basically he has to get away from Cade, the car crash, whoever started the car crash, to make Cade into a weapon to kill Kit. And also it's a full moon, so there's random werewolves out to get him. And he does. He's okay. Spoiler alert. He's okay. I don't know if that's actually a spoiler since it happened in the first the first chapter. So in this storyline, basically there is a dirty cop that Kit, a cop, and Cade, who's in charge of a private security firm, are looking into. And they have a romance going on. Now, I will say for this romance, it does seem that it's there seems to be just 3 books to this series, and the romance seems to be treating it as if the 3 books are one book. So it's kind of like the classic first book, oh, they're attracted to each other, maybe something happened. This book, something a little bit. Well, the first book, something a little bit happens, and this one, maybe a little something happens, but it's not like a complete love story yet. So I'm kind of hoping the 3rd book will have that. Normally I don't particularly care for that, and this one's, it's okay. It's just the books are so much fun that I don't mind that the romance is kind of taking a little longer than I normally would like. And it is a short book. It's 117 pages. The pacing is so much fun. It's so fast. It's so quick. There is a little bit of misunderstanding kerfuffle in it, but that's just classic, romance stuff. I will say that the dirty cop, I wasn't surprised by. I don't know if we were supposed to be really shocked by it, but I really wasn't. But that it didn't take away from the enjoyment of the book itself. So there's that. It ends on a cliffhanger, which is Kit gets framed for murder and he's on the run. So that's where it stops, and that's kind of how this series seems to be. It stops on a clutch the pearls cliffhanger. What happens next? Dun 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 kind of thing, which is fine. I will give this book 3 stars, and I'm giving it 3 stars just for the simple fact is that Kit was the first, POV point of view that we got from the first book. He's one of the main characters, and I still don't feel like we know anything about him because Cade, we get his POV, but we also, his childhood and his family relationships are beautifully mixed in with what's going on with the action. And I will say the action scenes, great. I have no idea how these authors are writing such fun, visually stimulating, written action scenes, but they're really, you could just picture in their mind, and as a fan of action movies, I really, really enjoy that. But with Cade, we get his relationship with his father, his relationship with his stepmother, his relationship with his half-brother pretty easily, and it's beautifully, seamlessly placed in it, so that leaves Kit, when we don't really know that much about his past, kind of bereft. I feel like I'm missing something. Because, there's a joke about his grandmother not wanting him to join the night shift, and you kind of get that, the dirty cop that's in prison, Kit has complicated emotions about him. Obviously he had a crush on him at one point. He might still do, but, the guy tried to kill him. So there's a little bit of complications there. And, the book most of the book is after Cade gets out of medical leave and everything like that, and he has to work with. So it's like a month later, and he has to work with people he knows someone's out to kill him. So we get his nervousness and fear about that. And like Kit is cool. Like he's cool under pressure. He's stubborn SOB, and I love it. It's just like I would like to have a little bit more of who he is. I don't really feel like I get as in depth character as we do Cade, you know, and it's two POVs, two main characters. I just wish that a little bit more. So that's why that one's a 3 stars, just because they did so well with bringing Cade's past into everything that not bringing Kit's past, like emotional past into it is kind of like, well, but you're so good at it, you know? So that's why. So that one's a 3. The next is going to be Queen of the Ghouls. And this author is no stranger to this channel. So it is it's a Ahyborne and Griffin, book 4, Necropolis by Jordan L. Hawk. And I'm just going to leave that up there for a little bit because the covers do have so much detail into them and so many clues of what you're dealing with said book that I just want to give you guys a second. So this one is book 4, and it follows, you know, Ahyborne and Griffin, and they're adorable little beings, and we absolutely love them on this channel. So, with what's happening on this one, it starts off at Christmas dinner. Griffin and Ahyborne are invited to Christmas dinner at Ahyborne's family's house with his parents, his father and mother. And, like, his dad is weird, because, like, I don't know if he's starting to come around that he realized that Ahyborne is strong and, like, a strong person of character, because like he doesn't harp on Ahyborne and Griffin being together. He doesn't like make any kind of disgusting remarks. You know, and at the time homosexuality was illegal, and even Griffin's parents, his adopted parents who love him, have stopped communicating with him because they feel it's a sin, which is so sad. I don't know if it's because Ahyborne's father loves the mother so much, because that seems to be his only character non-character flaws, that he loves his wife. And she's there, and we get her name, and I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. I'm very sorry. It's Helebel, and Helebel, and I will put a little, you know, the name written down here, and the meaning. If I remember correctly, I think it means gift of the sea. And she's there, and she's so sweet. And it turns out Ahyborne taught her a little bit of magic that she implies, like she uses when Ahyborne's older brother, who is a drunk asshole, starts going in on Ahyborne because he's a bigoted asshole, you know. So she tells him to knock it off, and she absolutely adores Griffin. And she's exactly what Griffin needs right now because, you know, his own family, his own adopted family kind of turned their back on him. And we do get that Griffin is looking for his birth brothers, his biological brothers, older brothers that were separated from him in the orphanage. So we'll see if that plays out later on. Probably. This author is really good about that stuff. And of course, Ahyborne has a power-up. It seems he doesn't need a sigil to control the wind anymore. And he does, is able to summon lightning and earth, but in a, like, he can move the sand and he could break stone. So it's not completely, but it's a little bit. So that was kind of interesting that it wasn't just one new thing, a couple of new things. And there is hints that the Dweller from the last book might have left a little more in Ahyborne than we originally thought. So that's gonna be interesting to, you know, go on that journey with them. So Christine, I love Christine. So she sends a telegraph, but like, hey, Ahyborne, get your butt over here. I need help. Ahyborne, of course, is typical grumpy cat. No, I'm not going. Curmudgeon, forget it. Until a ghoul almost eats a security guard at the museum, and then almost eats Ahyborne. Man, that museum, they go through a lot of people. That's a high death rate. Hope they pay well. Goodness. No health insurance. Okay. So they go to Egypt because, you know, Ahyborne's like, oh, of course Christine needs my help. You know, she wouldn't have done that without that, and all these ghouls and things like that. So they go to Egypt. And Griffin goes with them, even though Wyborn's like, oh, you don't have to. And Griffin's like, don't be stupid. Of course I'm coming with you, you know. So they go to Egypt, where Christine is trying to find the Necropolis. And it's interesting because in this, it doesn't seem to be one bad guy. It seems to be like almost three. So the Queen of the Ghouls is killing people and is obviously trying to get power at the Necropolis. Like, she wants to find it, she wants her power back, all this kind of stuff. And the historical detail that goes into it and the fantasy aspect of it, the alternative, is really, it's a really great read. Also, there seems to be a group of people that is trying to scare them away. So there's death threats, problems at the dig, things like that. And then Griffin is faced with the monster that started all off with him, the acid monster that killed his partner and broke Griffin's sanity the first time back in Chicago. So there's a lot going on. And the Ghoul Queen, who she ends up being, I wasn't really surprised by. I kind of figured. But also, this would be really hard to write because they're kind of isolated in the desert in an excavation. And, like, of course it had to be someone that's already either showed up or talked about either this book or the last book. Because if they just showed up out of nowhere, like, haha, you have no idea who I am, but I'm the bad guy of the story, it would have been kind of, I don't want to say childish, but maybe like first book kind of thing to do. And obviously this writer is much more adept at that, you know, much more, has a lot more history in writing and has a lot more, I don't want to say talent, because if you use that plot device and you do it well, it's fine. I'm just saying, you know. So this one, to me, it seems like our characters have to face some inner truths that they were ignoring for a while. That seems like they have to face up with some things. And Christine gets a love interest, which I love because I love Christine. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And the thing is, this is only Wyborn's POV, and this is an MM. Of course, the first book was an MM. Sorry about that. So this is an MM historical. And the first book I talked about with the werewolf was MM contemporary. So this is a MM historical. Again, sorry, I didn't do this for a week because I was pretty sick. So it's like I forgot everything. So sorry if I'm a little awkward and stuff. Like, I'll get over it. Christine has a love interest. They have 3 enemies. Wyborn leveled up. And the thing is, it's only Wyborn's POV, but we still get so much emotion and so much growth from Griffin. Like, it's fantastically written. And the action scenes blow me away. Especially with these scenes, it's physical action and magical action, and you can just picture it in your mind's eye. It's, chef's kiss. Mwah. It's phenomenal. It's really, really great. I can't say enough good things about the series. I guess you could jump into this book if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely recommend starting from book 1 with these guys because it's a journey, like such a nice journey to go with Wyborn through this adventure with him from the beginning, you know? So this book is a 4. 4 stars. I kind of want to give it 5 stars just because it was so great, but it is a 4th in the series. So, you know, you guys know how I am about that. But give it a try if you're interested in the little Cthulhu romance. H.P. Lovecraft romance. But it's just so much fun. It really was a great ride. And that one was 200 pages. And it felt like the pacing was so phenomenal. It just flew by. So the third and last book would be The Last Wallflower. So this is a Scandal in Spring Wallflower book number 4 by Lisa Kleypes. And yes, I have this on Kindle. I was looking for the actual book just because I have all the other books for the Wallflowers, but I just couldn't find it in my used bookstore, so I'm gonna have to keep looking just because the collector in me does not like that I don't have all of them. So we'll see what I can find. This one. You know, the friendship between the 4 girls, lovely. This story is FM historical, and it follows Daisy, Bowen and Matthew Swift during the whole thing. Daisy's one of my favorite Wallflowers. Evie's definitely in the top tier. Daisy's very close second. I couldn't wait for her book because she's an avid reader of romances. How could we not see ourselves in her a little bit, you know? She is Lillian's younger sister, and Lillian is the second Wallflower. Their friendship is lovely. I love the girls' friendship very much. It does seem like all the girls are having daughters of their own, so I guess there's going to be a next gen Wallflowers. I believe Evie's daughter has her own book already out, so this book, the romance has a wonderful happy ending. It's very sweet. Daisy is the adorable imp we all know that she is. Matthew Swift was a lot more interesting than I thought he was going to be. I haven't quite seen this type of hero yet. He's very stoic, but he has a lot inside of him, and he's been in love with Daisy since the beginning, but he can't be with her. Like, he cannot be with her. And I thought it was the typical, oh, he's probably born out of wedlock, you know, kind of thing. It wasn't. The reason why he can't give into his love for Daisy is very interesting, and I was fascinated by it, and hence the problem. So this book, through like 90% of it, I was like, oh, this is 5 stars. I love it. The romance scenes adorable, like spicy, and the romance going between them adorable. They have a lot more, showing they have more in common. You know, Marcus from Lillian's husband from the second book. He was like a stand-up guy during the whole thing. You know, Lillian's giving birth during this. You know, we see everybody. The thing is that there was so much build up to his mysterious past. And then when his mysterious past happened, it was like, oh, and there was so much drama, like what's going to happen. But the thing is, 80% of it was on the page. And then it felt like the rest of it resolved off the page because it was finished in a couple of paragraphs in the epilogue. And I was like, no, but I want to know. Like, I mean, you told us and thank you for giving us closure, but like, you could have shown us. That would have been so cool. So Daisy and Matthew, you know, they have a happy ending. They get married, you know, obviously. The thing is, like I said, the conflict that happens, it's resolved so quickly, or like 80% of it happens and then the rest of it is resolved in the epilogue, that this went from a 5 star, because it was a 5 star, to a 3 star, because that was so obnoxious. And there was a lot of filler in this book. Like, you know, it was a cute scene, Daisy and Matthew going to the May Day festival. They were already in love. They're already, you know, yes, they're going to get married, already intimate. So it was sort of, and it was funny, you know, Matthew trying to make sure Daisy didn't realize the people at the roots of the big tree were having sex, and then the fortune teller shows up and it's like, oh great, calamity will befall you, ooh, foreshadowing, you know. And then when it happened, it was like, and we didn't even get to see most of it. So like, Matthew has his own POV in this book. It would have been so amazing if we saw him actually cut his own restraints in the carriage that was fell into the river. You know, he was about to drown. He cut his own restraints. It would have been great if we saw that, and if we saw, you know, how the upperclassmen were more concerned about saving the horses than the actual person inside the carriage. Like, that would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see him kind of in and out of the head injury and getting help. And it would have been interesting to see the legal stuff that happened. Now, I get it if you know, she didn't feel like writing about the legal stuff that was happening, fine. That's fair. This is your world, your book. But then don't make that the third conflict. Don't make his conflict why he couldn't be with Daisy like, you know, a crime he didn't commit kind of a thing. If you're not going to show us what happened, it's just in the epilogue, oh yeah, his lawyers took care of it. I'm like, but there could have been so much drama with that. There could have been like such an opportunity with that. I was kind of like, wait a minute, that's kind of strange. It kind of felt like, and correct me if I'm wrong, just for me, it felt like maybe she, put the book down, started working on another project, and then realized like, oh, that's right, I have to finish this, and just went back to it and quickly finished it as quickly as possible. And again, I'd rather have a book, of the series than left hanging with nothing. But man, that kind of sucked a little bit. Like, it would have really been great if we had a little bit more. And the drama of Daisy thinking he drowned kind of resolved itself in like 2-3 pages. And I'm like, oh, that was such heart-wrenching drama. We could have had it for a little bit more, maybe, Or the drama was like, oh, I really can't marry you because, now this is happening, and, all the court proceeding. It was great to see Marcus like, no, this is my new best friend. I'm going to help him get out of this jam. And Thomas Bowen, that I do not have a high opinion of, was like, no, I know this man. He worked for me forever. I'm going to stand by him. Which was really sweet for Matthew itself. It's just, I would have liked a little bit more. I think it could have expanded a little bit more. I think you could have taken out a couple of the filler scenes that were really necessary for the plot to be driven to, put this in. And I understand a lot of historical romances, it's focusing only on the romance, and that's the whole plot. And that's fine. 100%. Sometimes I like those books, and that's what I want to read. But I have read other historical romances where there's other stuff going on, like political intrigue. Someone's trying to kidnap her. Someone's trying to kill him. Things like that go on as a second storyline, but are throughout the whole book. So that is something. And Brandy Rants and Reads suggested I try the Hathaway series by Lisa Kleypas because the Rivenal has some Wallflower characters in it. And I think I'm going to do that because I feel kind of tired of the Wallflowers too. Like, it feels like Lisa Kleypas was tired of the Wallflowers when she wrote this book, like the ending of this book. And I'm kind of tired of them too. Like, it's a little like... It's unfortunate because it is a fun series. Like, overall, the whole series itself, I would probably give it 3.5, a 4. Like, it's not the best series or best historical FM series I've read, but it's fun. It's nice. It's cute. The friendships alone, I think, are worth reading it for. I'm just a little disappointed with this. Like, Daisy's my girl. I'm happy she got a happy ending, but, like, it was such a good third final conflict. Like, it came out of, like, it was so good that I'm kind of upset that we didn't get to see it all the way through. So that's what that one. That's a 3 because of that. If it went all the way through, if it was a different conflict, it would have been a 5. So, if you don't mind wrap-ups really quickly in the epilogue, then go check it out. It is a fun series. Overall, it's a fun series. Lisa Kleypas knows what she's doing. I'm just like, man, I think I might even take a break from Lisa Kleypas for a while and try to find another historical romance novelist. It's just, that was so disappointing. And it's because she's so good that was so disappointing, It's not a book I hate. I do really, really enjoy this book. To the point that I want to get the hard copy, like a paperback copy to go with the other Wallflower series that I have on the shelf. So there is that. Okay, so I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.